In this video, I want to take a look at a game which I played against, let's call him Tony. And, the last two videos that I've analyzed were games against him. I played 4 games against him in one day. And, well, this particular player is rather reckless. He plays very quickly and he plays almost computer-like in the sense that when either he doesn't know what to do or he just doesn't have the patience to analyze the position, he will just sacrifice a piece for a pawn, and there's just not enough compensation for it. So you can take a look at the game. And, he played the Philidor Defence, which I play myself sometimes, so I wasn't sure whether, he would know any theory, so I decided to play c3. This is like the third or fourth most popular move, but it's not very good. And, there are several good responses for black. Knight f6 and knight c6 being pretty good. f5 is also playable because, you played c3, so you can get away with playing f5, which I think is pretty interesting. So after c3, my opponent played bishop g4, which is already a mistake, and this is not surprising because if you're familiar with the Opera game, which is one of the most famous chess games of all time, played by Pawnpusher with the white pieces against the Duke and the Count, and I get the names mixed up, but basically in that game he had d4 instead of c3, and bishop g4 is pretty much losing by force. So here I played bishop c4 with an idea similar to what happened in that game, but also I already have a threat of playing either queen b3 or d4, after which d4 there's sacrifices on f7. And here my opponent blundered with knight c6. There's 4 moves that apparently are good enough to not equalize, but to try to hold on to the game. Knight d7 is one of them. The point is that after queen b3, even though you're hitting both b7 and f7, knight c5 defends the pawn on b7, but also attacks the queen. And so if you take, that's just winning for black, because after king e7, there is no queen checkmate because you have both the bishop and the knight defending the square. So the only square to available for the queen to still keep an eye on the bishop is c4, but now after b5 you have to give up the bishop for 2 pawns, and this should be pretty good for black. There is some compensation because the king is a little bit exposed, but there's just not enough development. You have the knight out, and black has 2 pieces, and if you don't move this knight, he could just take, and well, with only 2 minor pieces which are undeveloped, and the bishop can't even come out yet, so there's really not there's no attack to speak of, basically. C6 is the more straightforward way to defend, because now queen b3 can be met by queen c7 and everything is defended. And I believe another way to defend here is with a knight f6 sacrifices a pawn, and you can also do it with bishop h4. Now both of these moves don't defend b7, so you are sacrificing a pawn, and in some cases 2 pawns, but the computer says that the positions that arise are equal, but they're very messy, they're tactical and just very complicated. So after knight c6, queen b3, and while taking on f3 does not really do anything. My opponent went back with bishop e6, and I believe there's still a few games in the database in this position played by masters, but this position is just bad for black. The engines say that queen d7 is better, after which, well, if you take rook b8, the computers like white, but I mean it's only a pawn, so from a practical point of view I think it's quite playable for black. You've made 3 moves with the queen, and well, you can even go rook b6 if you want, and well, black has better development. You've opened up the b file for black, so I don't know if this is a pawn that I would want to take, but instead of taking white can also just go knight g5 and put pressure on f7, after which the best move is knight d8, believe it or not. Bishop h6 doesn't really defend the pawn, because well, you have this variation takes, and I believe now you you take the bishop first, and then you take the pawn. And here, well, you move the same knight twice in the opening. You're blocking in the bishop. I think bishop e7 was better, although objectively queen e7 is the best move. And well, now I just, take control of the center, open up this diagonal for my bishop, and life is good. Knight g5 is not considered the best move by the engines, but it's not bad. And after we trade, well, you obviously cannot castle because the knight is controlling the d8 square. And here, well, f3 defending, so now I have this pawn chain, more space, and well, if you look at the material, it's only a pawn, but if you look at the evaluation, it's actually +3, just over, so that should tell you something. There's a positional advantage that white has. This bishop is terrible because it's blocked in by the pawn on g7, and these 2 pawns are also on dark squares, whereas my bishop is very good because, well, my pawns are along this diagonal, and so my bishop can come out to e3 and control these two diagonals. Also, if you look at the pieces, well, these two knights look pretty ridiculous because, well, this knight, where is this knight gonna go? You can only go back to g8, and this knight can come to h5, which is one of the second best move apparently. So here my opponent decided to open up the position as he said during the game, which he likes to talk during the game. Yeah, knight g6 is also a move, but, well, I don't know, it's tough. I think I would have played something like h5 instead. And after this, there's really not that much to analyze. Here, you can even castles. If you let Stockfish analyze this position, it thinks that castles is like the best move for a little bit. It's like, I don't need that much material. This rook is really not doing much unless you want to sacrifice the exchange. Whereas this knight is, in the words of Garry Kasparov, an octopus. I mean, it's just a monster, basically. It's attacking everything. Now, when Garry had, I believe he had the black pieces, and there was like a knight. I don't remember where it was, but it was along the third rank. So, yeah, having a knight outpost on the third or the sixth rank is just like amazing if you can get it. But I decided just to simplify the position, and, well, knight b5 just attacking the pawn. And here I don't know what my opponent was thinking, but I can take the pawn and just trade castles. And here, I mean, you're attacking, but, you know, I could take your pawn first and defend mine. So, and, well, here I just decided to stop writing down the moves because there's just no point. This position is just completely crushing. The game went on, but, well, eventually my opponent resigned because he had like no pieces left. Anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.